Goodnotes and Notability have dominated the iPad handwriting note-taking app market for many years. With their recent updates, which is Notability 14 and Goodnotes 6, it begs the question, which app is better in 2024, which is just a few weeks away? Should you consider subscribing to one of them? That's what we'll be answering in this video. Hey guys, it's Robsy back with Paperless X, a channel dedicated to easing your digital transformation. If you're new to our channel, hello. Make sure you subscribe and turn on your notifications so you know each time we release a new video. And if you're already subscribed, fantastic human, welcome back. Goodnotes is available for a one-time universal purchase of $29.99, and that makes it the most expensive one-time purchase you can make for a handwriting note-taking app in 2024. You also have the option to get the subscription version of the app for $9.99, which is slightly cheaper than Notability, which goes at $14.99. However, you still have to buy digital stationery from the in-app shop in Goodnotes if you like any of it. When you factor that in, Goodnotes is probably more expensive than Notability. The yearly subscription for Notability starts at $11.99 for your first year, and then after that, it will renew at $14.99 a year. All the planners and worksheets that you get in the Notability shop are free, so you can use anything you like in the app without having to pay any extra for it. But if you dislike subscriptions for your handwriting note-taking app, there are plenty of alternatives to consider. So a lot of the note-taking apps available on the market are actually not subscriptions. Both apps are available on the iPhone, iPad, and Mac. Goodnotes is also available on Windows and Android, and it also has a web app that you can access online in any web browser. We are still to try Goodnotes 6 on other platforms, but from our experience, other platforms usually have versions that are inferior to what you'd get on an iPad. That has been the case with almost every productivity app that we have tried so far, so we have no reason to believe that Goodnotes 6 would be any different. Notability ruined the user experience for new notes in the app with the quick page template changing options that you'll find at the bottom of the screen. When the app first launched, these were very buggy and very difficult to use, but now they seem to have improved that, which we really appreciate, but still a little bit confusing and also unnecessary. We also dislike that to get to your notebook titles, you have to actually look for them, which is really uncomfortable. The app has quite a large collection of page templates, especially because of its gallery, which gives you hundreds of free page templates that you can use. So these templates are not the most beautiful, but they're free and that counts for something, right? For your basic templates, the app has great line spacing options. The 10 options for your line spacing options are quite a lot. Chances are you will find something that works for you. You also have custom page colors. The page sizes for your notebooks and Notability are fixed, but their range is quite decent. When you're in a hurry, you can create a quick notebook with just a single tap. In Goodnotes, quick notes are a two-step process. Not very quick, but it's not bad if you have nothing to compare it to. When you have a bit of time on your hands, you can customize this to determine your page color, as well as the color for the lines on your templates, which is an option you don't get with Notability. The only downside to this setup in Goodnotes is that your page template options are not centralized like they are in Notability, which is a lot easier and more practical. The Goodnotes templates also don't have a wide range for your line spacing options like you do with Notability. For your new notebooks, Goodnotes has covers that make your notebooks look pretty on the homepage. The app really has a lot of covers that you can pick from, and these come with color options as well. Notability doesn't have covers. Goodnotes in the app itself, it doesn't really have a lot to choose from. It really just has your standard page templates. But you can create custom page sizes that can be as big as 5,000 by 5,000 points. To get a perspective of what that looks like, this is the 5,000 by 5,000 page template. And below it, I have the A4 paper size that we usually use. You can create the exact page that you want in Goodnotes. Is kind of cool because it gives you that much control, and if custom page sizes are a big part of your work, you will definitely love using Goodnotes. Both apps have portrait and landscape page orientations for your page templates, meaning you will probably love both of them. What matters more than page template options is the ability to save custom page templates to an app's library. Doing that in both apps is quite simple. Your templates can only be single pages, and that is quite limiting. And this can either be photos or PDFs. So for our preferred digital notebooks, we have to import them in both apps as PDFs in both Notability and Goodnotes. Throughout this review and for all our videos, we use our digital notebooks as templates in all of these note-taking apps. You can purchase our digital notebooks from Spring or from Patreon. Let us know which app seems to have the options you like the most for creating new notebooks. We never thought that we would appreciate the user interface in Goodnotes, but the developers have moved the tabs above the two toolbars that we disliked so much. This looks good. Your toolbar can either be at the top of your screen or it can be at the bottom. So for left-handed people, this could be quite helpful. Notability's extremely minimalist design makes the user interface look beautiful, and the app's themes even make that better. You can't really appreciate the themes with the new setup in Notability now, which just makes the themes in the app a bit pointless. Goodnotes doesn't have themes. Even before, that was never a good enough reason to choose Notability over Goodnotes anyway. The floating toolbar is quite annoying when you have some notes written on the page. They stick out at the top of the screen. We prefer the toolbar in Goodnotes that is anchored. That looks better. It's unpleasant to see your page behind the toolbar. All toolbars should really be anchored to the edge of your screen. But you can move this to pretty much anywhere you want on the screen because now it's mobile. That flexibility we really appreciate, but still would prefer it anchored to the sides of the screens. We can also now customize this toolbar. So this could be empty. This is a lot better than what we had when they first launched Notability 14. All of us can have toolbars that look different with the same tools just arranged in different ways. And that is a lot of control over the tools that you use. Would it make you pick Notability over Goodnotes? Probably not. For handwriting your notes in Notability, you have fountain and ballpoint pens. You also have dashed and dotted pens that are more decorative, so you won't use these to write notes. The compact toolbar in Notability 14 has made switching between different pen types cumbersome. You either have to scroll through the color palette and saved thicknesses to get to your pens, or you compromise on the number of pen colors you can have on the toolbar. However you look at it, it's not a pleasant setup, considering just how much space is free to make the toolbar a bit longer. Goodnotes also has a fountain and ballpoint pen, but it has a third pen type that you don't get in Notability, which is a brush pen. Fountain and brush pens in Goodnotes have the pressure sensitivity option, which adds some dynamic responses to how your pen writes in the app. Your fountain pen can have sharp or rounded pen tips, all options you don't get in Notability. It doesn't make the pen tool in Goodnotes better than the one in Notability though, because the handwriting experience in both apps is on par. Their differences are negligible at best. In a recent update, Goodnotes 6 added a dashed and dotted option for your pens. It's not as centralized as what you get in Notability though. Too many options, very few pens we can save on the toolbar. In Notability, you have a maximum of 8 colors on the toolbar. You can pick your colors using sliders, a hex code, or color picker. All decent options for a note-taking app. You now get a maximum of 3 thicknesses on the toolbar. We find that limiting. While you probably won't consistently use 3 thicknesses in your notes, the day you want to temporarily use a 4th, you will hate the setup. You will be forced to replace one of the 3, which is not ideal. In Notability, that might not be a big issue because the app has fixed pen thicknesses, so your pen thickness is much easier to remember. Your pens in Goodnotes have millimeter sizes, which make them a lot more accurate to size but more difficult to remember if you ever wanted to use a 4th thickness. You'll probably have to write your pen thickness down somewhere if you're going to revert back to it. The app supports custom colors that you can pick using a grid, which is not the most accurate. You also have a wheel, hex code, or color picker. We love how the colors in Goodnotes are readily available on the toolbar without needing to bring them up like you do in Notability. In Notability, you can keep the color palette visible at all times, but it just makes the app look a bit cluttered. You have a maximum of 12 colors on the toolbar in Goodnotes, which is 4 more than what you get in Notability. All your colors are editable as well, but Notability has 32 colors that you can't edit and you have to scroll through them to get to the colors you actually want to use. Not an ideal setup. We're still waiting for a favorites toolbar in Goodnotes. A toolbar that doubles as a favorite toolbar works, and Noteful has implemented that very well. In Notability, however, our favorite tools displace other tools on the toolbar. You have to scroll to get everything else. Either the toolbar has to be long enough to accommodate all the tools you want on it, like we have in Noteful, or the developers have to bring back a separate toolbar for our favorite tools. For 2024, Goodnotes has a better pen tool that won't frustrate you as much as the one in Notability. Notability has a pencil tool, which you do not get in Goodnotes. For a handwriting note-taking app, a pencil tool just completes your writing toolset, doesn't it? You can customize it to choose a color and thickness for it. As much as I love pencil tools, I actually never use them. Let us know if you use pencils in your notes. The highlighter in both apps goes behind your ink and has personalization options similar to those of the pen tools. Both apps can highlight freely or in straight lines. Where Goodnotes 6 has one highlighter, Notability has 4 types like you get with your pen tool. Options are great to have, but you won't be upset with having one highlighter in Goodnotes. The erasers in both apps erase per stroke. And per pixel. You can also erase the highlighter only in both apps or clear pages with a single tap. Goodnotes has 3 eraser sizes and the app also supports auto deselect. If you don't like to unselect an eraser tool after using it, then you will love Goodnotes. Notability has 12 sizes for your eraser, which is overkill. We're still waiting for auto deselect in Notability, but the truth is, it's not for everyone because I always turn it off. That way I have more control over my tools when I'm using them. Goodnotes supports some erasing gestures which Notability does not have. You can scribble to erase your handwriting. And as a general rule, the scribble to erase gesture is an unreliable one. It always misses some of the gestures, which will force you to repeat the gesture or use the eraser tool. What's worse in Goodnotes is that sometimes the app erases words you write when it mistakes them for the scribble gesture. You can set up the gesture to allow the eraser to also erase the highlighter and shapes as well. Gestures are lovely to have, but do we really need them? Especially considering how functional the eraser tool is in Goodnotes. Notability has always had one of the simplest zoom tools you'll get in a handwriting note-taking app. There was no need to make it more minimalist. Personally, I find the lack of borders on the tool very distracting and confusing. Trying to make sense of the tool, where it starts and where the pages end, really hurts my eyes. Using this new zoom tool is quite unpleasant. The writing tools are also now very far. Even when you move the toolbar to the left, it's still too far to reach out for your writing tools. We're left with a floating toolbar of navigation arrows that are not very useful considering that we can move the tool around manually. It would be better to replace the navigation arrows with handwriting tools, or an undo button even. Despite the funny looking zoom tool icon in Goodnotes 6, we love the feature more than the one in Notability. We really appreciate the borders that clearly separate the tool from our pages. Its range is quite decent. Similar to what you'd get in Notability. Auto Advance is very accurate in Goodnotes. It also supports a margin. And that means when auto advancing to a new line, it starts at the margin. And you get to determine where that margin goes on your page. When recording this video though, the feature is a bit buggy, which makes it difficult to use. As with Notability, writing tools are better than the navigation ones for the zoom tool. Notability also supports auto advance, which works well when you're advancing on the same line. However, when you want to move between lines, it is not very accurate, so you'll probably have to manually adjust it. There are no settings to make this more accurate in Notability. For both apps, you can add text, shapes, images, web links, stickers, audio recordings, and import documents. Notability can also add GIFs and proper sticky notes, which you can't do in Goodnotes. Text boxes mix better with handwritten notes in a handwriting note-taking app. Goodnotes and Notability have different approaches to their text boxes, which make them ideal for different note-takers. If you love designing your text boxes, you will love Goodnotes 6. The app can customize the background color, border color, and thickness, padding, and roundness of your text boxes. It has presets for them, and you can even save one text box style as a favorite. Technically, Notability does not have text boxes. It only has sticker notes that you can type on. These have paper templates and color options like you'd expect for sticky notes. Now they even have line spacing options for the templates, which also affects the line spacing of your text. Without borders or padding options, they don't even look like text boxes at all, because they are not. Notability makes up for this with its text formatting options. You can add headings and captions, which are mainly just different font sizes that are bold, which counts for something, right? The app supports a decent number of fonts, including custom ones. Resizing your text is quite simple. You can also change its color or format it to make it bold, italic, or underline. The app has 3 alignment and line spacing options that are quite basic. The text you add to your text boxes in Goodnotes 6 is not very exciting. The app supports a similar number of fonts to what you get in Notability, and you can even use custom ones without a problem. Goodnotes seems to have more options for each font though. You can resize your font, and the range for both apps is quite similar. The app has more control over your line spacing. Instead of the 3 fixed ones you get in Notability, Goodnotes gives you a very wide spectrum. You can change the color of your text and format it to make it bold, italic, underline, or strike out. That is all there is to your pen tool in Goodnotes. In Notability, you can also add numbered, unnumbered, or checklists to your notes. Your lists can have up to 3 different bullets or numbering when you add levels to them. We're still waiting for lists in Goodnotes. The app checks off, dims, and strikes out your completed tasks, which is awesome. Even some Get Things Done apps don't have checklists that brilliant. Notability 14 got a lot of things wrong, but we love the improvements they made to the text tool. The keyboard toolbar looks compact, it's neater and more modern. Let us know which one is important for you, text boxes or the text you add to them. Body text goes directly on the page, and in Goodnotes, it's easy to see that it's really just a massive text box that you can't resize. Notability has implemented the feature a lot better because you're not forced to start typing at the top of each page. You can use body text anywhere on the page, which makes it a lot easier to use. One thing both apps have in common is that body text doesn't mix well with handwritten notes. It will overlap with any handwriting or items on your page. While it's good to have options, body text in a handwriting note-taking app, the way it's implemented in Goodnotes and Notability, doesn't make sense. We love that both apps have optimized their basic templates for text. Notability's page optimization is not working though. We're not sure if this is one of Notability's new terrible features or if this is really just a bug. We love how Notability uses the same tools for your text boxes and body text. Your text is uniform, whichever setup you choose. In Goodnotes, however, body text comes with some features you will not get for your text boxes. You can add headings, paragraphs, captions, and very simple lists that don't support any levels. You don't get any font options for your body text in Goodnotes, which is a limitation. All the headings, paragraphs, and captions are really just one font with different sizes and formatting options that you can't change. You also get alignment options, and you can still format your text. It would be better if the developers added these features to text boxes in Goodnotes than to body text. Notability supports regular and irregular shapes that you can draw using the pen, pencil, or highlighter tool. All your shapes remain editable after you've drawn them. Not only can you change how they look, but you can also change their pen type, border thickness, and border color. You can also draw arrows and basic curves. Your arrowheads are closed if you use the pen tool, but open if you use the pencil tool. We love arrowheads, but we would want them slightly smaller, especially when drawing thin lines. Goodnotes also supports regular and irregular shapes using the same tools, but the app doesn't have a pencil tool. Shapes are a lot more fun to draw in Goodnotes because you can draw them with individual strokes which the app recognizes as a single shape. You can still move individual strokes if you like, but in Notability, you only have that one option, which is to move individual strokes. You can't move everything at once. Your shapes remain adjustable in Goodnotes, so you can change how they look. However, you can't change their pen type, only their border color. We love that drawing arrows is more natural in Goodnotes. You can draw a line or curve, then add the arrow. It is a lot easier than having to draw the whole thing in a single stroke like we have in Notability. It also gives you a bit of control over how your arrows look. And because of that, they're not as exaggerated as the ones in Notability, unless you want them to be. In Notability, you can choose to autofill your shapes unless you've drawn them with the pencil tool. The pencil tool does not support autofill for shapes. While your autofill and shape border can be different colors, they can't be different opacities. So your pen tool shapes have opaque autofills, and the ones you draw with the highlighter have a lower opacity. Of course, there are ways around this, but workarounds aren't fun. It would be better if we could just get opacity options for our shapes. Goodnotes does not have the flexibility to switch between autofilled and non-filled shapes. Either your shape is autofilled when you first draw it, or it isn't. It's more important when you want a filled shape because you can't later come back to add a fill after you've drawn the shape. But autofills are quite easy to remove. For 2024, that is not an ideal setup to have in a handwriting note-taking app. We should be able to add and remove fills from shapes like we do in Notability. Goodnotes autofills are all translucent, which we prefer to the opaque fill you get in Notability for your shapes. Shapes you draw with your highlighter tool don't support autofill though. Your shape border and autofill can be different colors unless they're circular. So all circular shapes in Goodnotes don't support a fill color that is different from the border color. Like with Notability, Goodnotes does not have opacity options for your autofill or shapes. Both apps have a ruler tool for measuring items in your notes. Are students still learning to measure items using rulers? Could digital rulers give them the same experience as using physical rulers on paper? Just how useful are those skills now that we can use the measure feature on our phones? It would be interesting to hear what educators have to say about the ruler tool in handwriting note-taking apps. They've become an industry standard, and it's rare to find an app without them. We love the blue arrows on the ruler tool in Notability. They make it very easy to measure items on the page, which makes the digital ruler a lot better than physical ones. Goodnotes does not have a similar feature. But in both apps, you can rotate the ruler, and choose between inches, or centimeters for your measurements. The tool also adjusts when you zoom in and out of your pages. So 2mm at 100% zoom remains 2mm at 250% zoom. We are still waiting for Notability to change the icon on the toolbar to a plus icon. It is almost as if whoever is designing Notability's user interface has actually never used a productivity app. Notability can add multiple images at once. The app just piles them on top of each other. And now the piling is very subtle. You can almost miss it. You then have to rearrange and organize them. Notability still supports rectangular cropping for your photos. It is very basic and simple, perhaps too simple for those who might prefer freehand cropping. You can rotate and resize your images. Captions set Notability apart because not many note-taking apps support them for images. They have decent formatting options for your captions where you can choose the font type, its size, and you can even make it outstanding with different formatting options. The captions still don't rotate with your images though, but would you want them to? Let us know. Adding one image at a time is a tiring digital workflow for 2024, especially when you have many photos to add. In Goodnotes, you can crop your images freely or use the rectangular cropping tool. The app also lets you shrink or stretch them if you like, a feature which Notability does not support. But Notability can wrap text around your images. We expected Goodnotes to do the same since it now supports body text, but you can't do that with your images in Goodnotes. Notability even supports GIFs. Their latest update to the Photos feature seems to be buggy. It is now adding a white background to some PNG images, which is unpleasant. Notability's web links are screenshots of websites that you can annotate and take notes on. The app also lets you add links to your text boxes that you can interact with to open in a web browser or create a web clip from them. Notability doesn't work well with web links, so if you use those a lot, you're better off using Goodnotes. The app adds links to your text, and we love it. Your links are easy to spot. They are underlined and dimmer than your surrounding text. You can also create hyperlinks in Goodnotes that link to pages within the same notebook. Best feature from Goodnotes 6. You can also link pages to other notebooks in the app, so you're not just limited to pages in the same notebook, you can link to pages in other notebooks. How cool is that? Hyperlinks in the same notebook are exciting, but linking to other notebooks is simply fantastic. In Notability, audio recording syncs with your handwritten notes to the second and to the pixel. Your typed notes also sync to the second, only per word. The playback speed options should be more readily available though. At least you can skip through your audio by tapping your notes. Goodnotes 6 has one of the worst audio recording tools on the market. It only syncs with handwriting and timestamps your text. So it is not very useful for your text. It's surprising that Goodnotes speed options are more accessible than the ones in Notability. You can't skip through your audio by tapping your notes in Goodnotes. Notability can fine-tune your audio playback to reduce background noise and focus on the speaker. You can also edit your clip to rename it. This you can also do in Goodnotes. Or cut out parts you don't want in your audio. This is something you can't do in Goodnotes. The app can even split your audio into multiple files or merge multiple audios into a single one. The most recent and biggest update the developers made to the audio recording tool is Transcription. The Notability developers had to update their privacy policy for this, since the transcription happens on their servers with no encryption. Goodnotes does not have transcription for your audio recordings. Transcription is automatically turned on for all your notebooks in the app, so it happens automatically in the background. We appreciate the automation, but we would feel better if there was an option to turn it off for new notebooks, where you can choose to use it or not. The transcription itself is quite accurate as long as you're not recording anything too technical or too many languages. We love that the app doesn't repeat statements in your transcription when the speaker repeats something. Each statement is time-stamped, so by tapping on it, you can skip through your recording. You can rate each transcription and copy it to paste it into your notes. You can then edit any errors in the transcription. The app automatically syncs the notes you paste into your audio recording, which is brilliant. Is this a feature you see yourself using a lot in your notes, or are you going to just turn it off? Do tell. Notability Plus has a decent collection of free stickers. That Goodnotes sells in its in-app shop. Some items are free, but for users paying the subscription, these have to be free, right? But then again, they're not necessary for daily note-taking, so it's possible to never need to purchase them. Ever. Stickers are readily available and easy to use in both apps. So is creating custom stickers. For 2024, handwritten items alone are not enough for custom stickers. Notability ought to have updated its stickers by now, because we're still limited to creating them only from handwritten items. Goodnotes, on the other hand, makes stickers from anything you select on your page, from images, shapes, handwritten notes, and text boxes. It just can't make them from equations or comments. The app also lets you edit your sticker collections to add or remove stickers. In Notability, you can only save stickers as favorites without any option to delete sticker collections you don't like. Goodnotes gives you more functionality for your stickers, if that is an important aspect of your digital workflow. In both apps, the Lasso tool can pick up everything on your page, to rotate, resize, copy, delete, or change the color of your handwritten notes. It can also drag and drop items between apps. Notability can duplicate sections and change the pen thickness and type for your handwritten notes, but Goodnotes can't do this. Goodnotes makes up for that by having a more selective lasso tool that lets you pick up only your handwriting, text boxes, images, comments, or any combination you want. We're still waiting for Notability's Lasso tool to give us selection options. At least it can pick up individual items, but that's not enough anymore. A selective Lasso tool for 2024 is now an industry standard. Younger and smaller apps all have it. So we expect nothing less from Notability. Goodnotes still doesn't move selections across pages in the same notebook. A problem you don't get in Notability. Goodnotes now lets you select items on your page using your pen tool. You still use the lasso tool to select what the gesture picks up on your page. It won't completely replace the lasso tool. Notability's handwriting conversion supports more languages, 22 versus the 17 in Goodnotes. Both apps now convert your handwriting in a single step. We've waited a long time for this feature in Goodnotes. Both apps retain the font size and color of your handwriting, so you won't have to customize that. Both apps can convert your math equations to produce high-resolution, scalable images. The image resolution in Notability is better than what you get in Goodnotes though. Both apps can edit conversion errors in LaTeX code, but the setup in Notability is more pleasant to use. Handwriting conversion in Goodnotes 6 has finally caught up with the one in Notability, at least for the features that matter. Notability has one of the simplest active recall features you can get in a note-taking app, the tape. It covers parts of your notes that you're trying to learn and reveals them to check what you're learning. Your tape can be one of 4 styles: with a size range from 1 to 5. It also has 4 color options at the moment, which you can customize. We're happy to see more options for the tape, and we love how easy it is to use with the notes you already have in the app. So in Notability, you won't be having to do any extra work to use Active Recall. Goodnotes 6 uses flashcards for Active Recall, so you have to create a specific notebook for them. You can type or handwrite your questions on one side of the card. The app also lets you add an image to your flashcards. And basically, flashcards need more effort to create and take a lot of time. But when you start studying them, the app can create a quick notebook for your answers and you can test yourself on it. For flashcards, the options you get for grading them aren't good, but it's better than nothing. You also don't get a score at the end of your study session, which makes this feature incomplete. Let us know which one you find more convenient, the tape or flashcards. Spell checking for text has been life-changing for most of us. We process and write so many documents in our lifetime, and spell checking helps minimize our mistakes with less effort. Goodnotes is bringing that technology to handwritten notes, which we would appreciate if it didn't cost so much. It seems both Notability and Goodnotes keep needing to index our notes to provide us with features we need. Seeing as most people don't care about their privacy, developers are coming up with clever ideas each year to harvest our data in exchange for cool features that correct our spelling and transcribe our audio recordings. We wouldn't have a problem with any of this if the new features were perfect, but they're not, are they? Spell checking in Goodnotes 6 will only slow you down. It misses some obvious errors and suggests wrong solutions. And if you are patient enough, you will have to train the technology to make it more accurate. The handwritten replacements look nothing like your handwriting though I must say it is kind of improving. Do you really need spell checking in a handwriting note-taking app? Or should we really just use our brains a little bit and keep our brains a little bit active? Multiple instances work in both apps, allowing you to open the same notebook twice. Notability now supports true dark mode, so your pages and ink automatically switch to dark mode. The best part is that dark mode works on PDFs, which is rare to find. Goodnotes still does not support dark mode, so only your user interface changes. Scribble works in both apps. Who else dislikes Scribble? Both apps work with the iPadOS scanning technology. Notability can save your scans as images or PDFs, but Goodnotes only saves as PDF. Notability has better data detection when using body text, but it also works in text boxes. Goodnotes does not support data detection that well. If you're interested in learning more about all these different iPadOS features, we have covered them on Paperless Humans. We have done tutorials on each of them so you can learn how to use them and make the most of them in your digital workflow. With both apps, you can open multiple copies of the same notebook at once using multiple instances. They also both support in-app multitasking, although in different ways. The note switcher in Notability divides your screen with a vertical or horizontal split view, allowing you to view up to 4 notebooks at once. Goodnotes 6 has tabs that can open as many documents as you like. The only limitation is that you can only view one tab at a time. So at any given time, Goodnotes can only display 2 notebooks at once, but it can open more documents than Notability. Which setup do you think works better for your workflow? Let us know. Exporting notes out of the app is important for sharing notes with others. Both Notability and Goodnotes can share read-only PDF versions of your notes. They can also share editable notes. However, if either of the two apps is your main note-taking app, you probably won't want to export your notes out of the app, which means the best way to share your notes is probably by either presenting them or collaborating on them. Goodnotes discontinued their community program in favor of collaboration, and they made the right choice. The Notability Gallery is a place to get some notes that you can modify. You can also upload your notes to help others as well. Our team doesn't like the idea of a social media platform in a productivity app. However, the Notability Gallery has grown and note takers can share and get free, useful items. There is no downside to that as long as it's not a distraction. The same system also supports one-way collaboration, specifically targeting those who do not use Notability. It is not as responsive as it used to be, though. Anyone else notice that, or is it just us? People can view and download your notes from any web browser. The one-way collaboration means that only you can change and modify the notes you share, and everyone else just sees your changes without contributing anything. The app still limits your file size to 100 megabytes per document, but we can now share more than 10 documents. At least there is that. Goodnotes has two-way collaboration where you can work on documents with your colleagues in real time. The app alerts you when others make changes to your notes, and finding those changes is quite easy. Your team can even discuss what you're working on using comments, with an option to resolve them when you're done. The only issue to worry about when collaborating in Goodnotes is that you don't have control over who sees or who works on your document. That is because Goodnotes does not have any permissions for that. Anyone with a link can open and view your documents, but we love that when you stop collaborating, everyone loses access to your document. The collaboration feature in Goodnotes 6 is one of the best collaboration setups you will get in a handwriting note-taking app. It is only second to Apple Notes, which is very impressive, and this makes it ideal for classrooms and teams. This is definitely our favorite feature in Goodnotes 6. Viewing all the pages in your notes is more natural in Goodnotes than in Notability. Goodnotes has smaller thumbnails that fit more pages on the screen. Let's hope Notability can make the thumbnails smaller, or even better, let us adjust them like we can in Noteful. In both apps, selecting multiple pages lets you copy, rearrange, or delete them. Notability can also duplicate or bookmark them. Goodnotes can only bookmark one page at a time. And if you need to duplicate many pages, it will take a while. For your PDFs in Notability, you can rotate your pages but not the annotations on them, which makes rotation a bit pointless, doesn't it? Goodnotes has proper page rotation that rotates your ink along with your pages. You can add pages with different page templates to the same notebook, something that you can't do in Notability. Your pages can even be different sizes. We love that kind of flexibility because you don't have to create different kinds of notebooks just to use different paper. For 2024, that limitation in Notability is unpleasant. The app can only use one template unless you bring in PDF pages, which is a decent workaround, but it's not the same. Goodnotes can also move pages in your notebooks to other notebooks in the app. To achieve the same thing in Notability, you'll probably have to cut and paste pages, which is a lot of work and not as pleasant as just moving your pages. We look forward to having that feature in Notability. The app can create templates from pretty much any page in your notebook or in your PDF. Goodnotes can only copy the templates of the current page. It has its place. But Notability saves the templates you create to the app's library, and that makes the app one of the best for building a collection of custom templates. Both apps have continuous vertical and paged horizontal scrolling. We love vertical scrolling in Notability more as it allows you to move items between pages. It makes working in the app a lot easier. The last difference for page editing between these two apps is that Notability automatically adds a page when you start writing on the last page in your notebook. It makes the pull to add gesture in Goodnotes 6 feel a bit cumbersome. In both cases, the apps simply copy the template from the last page in the notebook. You can search through your handwriting, text, and scans in both apps. Your search results are highlighted and easy to find. From the homepage of either app, you can search through all the notes in the app. Goodnotes organizes your search results better than Notability though. The app gives you more categories for the search results than Notability 14. In fact, universal search in Notability 14 is not that great. Organization in every app starts within the notebook. Notability also tracks your pages with annotations on them, which is helpful when you have long documents you're working on. Goodnotes does not have this feature, but it can recognize and create outlines for your PDFs and notebooks. An outline is a table of contents that helps you navigate lengthy documents. The app can display either the default contents page for your document or the one you create yourself. On the home page, Notability organizes your notes into 5 folder levels. For digital note-taking, that is more than enough. We recommend you stick to less than 3 levels of organization for your notes. So 5 levels is really a lot. Goodnotes supports an infinite number of folders within folders, which are unpleasant to navigate. The setup in Notability is a lot better, helping you to get to your documents a lot faster. Bookmarking pages and documents can help you to get to them faster in Goodnotes. The app has a Favorites tab for your bookmarked pages, documents, and folders, which can be quite handy as long as you keep your favorite documents few. Notability, on the other hand, only shows your favorite documents on the homepage. In Goodnotes, you can also access your shared files, which are the ones you're collaborating on. In contrast to Goodnotes, which only backs up to 3 cloud services, Notability can back up to 5. Those who use Box and WebDAV will probably prefer Notability. A productivity app should sync and automatically back up your work. Most of us use at least one of the 3 cloud services integrated into Goodnotes, so you won't miss out on anything. Both apps can back up in native formats and PDFs. But we love Goodnotes because it can save both formats, so you don't have to choose. We hope more handwriting note-taking apps start offering this option. In Goodnotes, you can exclude some folders and notebooks from your backup. But Notability can only do that with folders. It also works. Let us know which setup you prefer. Most productivity apps have worrying privacy practices, and most users don't seem to mind at all. Goodnotes has been a concern for us since the developers launched the app's first experimental feature, the flashcards, a few years ago. They haven't done much to improve their stance because they keep adding experimental features. And the new dysfunctional AI features they've added to Goodnotes 6 are like pouring gasoline on a burning fire. Notability, on the other hand, updated its privacy policy for the audio transcription feature, which left us with more questions than answers. We no longer feel our notes are as private as they used to be in both apps. Goodnotes or Notability. Both apps remain the top handwriting apps on App Store because they've been downloaded the most. That is just how the App Store ranks apps. But that is not to say they're still the best handwriting note-taking apps for 2024. If you want to avoid their subscriptions, there are decent alternatives for that. If you care about the privacy of your notes, it's probably best you avoid both apps. But if you must choose one of the two, we recommend Goodnotes 6. It is more stable and has a better user experience than what Notability 14 offers for 2024. Sadly, Notability 14 seems to have done a lot of damage to a perfect app. It's sad to see. Goodnotes, on the other hand, has brilliant collaboration features and hyperlinks that will simply ease your digital workflow, especially for 2024. Let us know which of the two apps you prefer. This brings us to the end of this video. We hope you guys found it useful. Give this video a thumbs up if you liked it. Thank you, Fantastic Human, for watching. See you in the next video.